Hey everyone, it's Mrs. Brimlow, and today we're going to review how to solve multi-step equations. So you should have a copy of the notes linked to Canvas, or you can get a copy when you come back. So the first type of equation we're going to solve that's multi-step is where we have to combine like terms. So what are like terms? Like terms are sets of terms that have the same variable part and exponent part. Okay. So we're going to do this equation out step by step, and then you're going to try one on your own. Okay. So step one is to combine like terms. Tip: use highlighter or shapes to identify and simplify. So I first like to start with my variables. So right away I see 9x, and you want to make sure you include the sign in front of it so you know if it's positive or negative and what to do with it. I also see positive X. So I'm going to box those. Another great tool or strategy I'm a fan of is highlighting, making sure to include the sign in front of it. Okay. And then I have 7 and negative 10. Are those like terms? Think about that for a minute. Are they like terms? Do they have the same variable part and exponent part? The answer is yes. They're both constants. They don't have variables, so I can combine those together. So I'm going to circle them, once again, making sure to include the signs in front of them, or you could highlight them in a different color. Now, we would not include 57 because that is on the other side of the equal sign, okay? So that just stays on its own. So combine like terms. So now we're actually going to add or subtract whatever we need to do. I always start with my variables. It's a good habit to get into because as you get into high school and some more complex topics, it will make it easier to have this habit. So 9x, and when we have an x by itself or variable by itself, there's a 1 in front. So 9 plus 1 is 10. And then I have 7 minus 10, which would be negative 3. So we just went to 4 terms down to 2. So now I just have a 2-step to solve, which I can do. Okay. So if I move this down, what I left off with into step 2, it says simplify using the inverse of addition or subtraction. So like we did previously, I'm going to box that variable term. I need to get rid of this constant, and it's subtracting 3. So I would do the inverse, which would be add. So that's 10x plus 0 equals 60. Remember, what we do to one side, we do to the other to keep it balanced. So this is the same as 10x equals 60. So I'm just going to bring that last step down here and simplify using the inverse of multiplication or division. So it's 10 times x. The opposite would be to divide by 10. So x is equal to 6. So we went from all of these terms using what we know to solve down to this. So really the extra step is taking these multiple like terms and combining them together down to a 2-step that we do know how to solve. I'd like you to pause the video and try the problem below. When you're all set, you can come back. Okay. All right, so I start by circling or highlighting and whatever you want to do, my like terms. 4x minus 2x is 2x. 8 plus 7 is 15. And that 29 stays the same. There's nothing else with it. Now I have a 2-step, so I box that variable term. I'm going to subtract 15 because it was a plus 15. So that's 2x plus 0 equals 14, or 2x equals 14. Divide by 2, and I get x equals 7. All right. When you're all set, you can flip the paper over, or if you have it printed out, you can look at the next sheet. So the other type of multi-step we've learned how to solve for is when we have the distributive property. To distribute means to give, and when we're talking about math, it means to multiply, okay? So if I have a problem with the distributive property like this, the first thing I want to do is distribute that outside term to everything inside, or multiply. So 2 times 4x gives me 8x, and then 2 times a positive 5, make sure you take the sign in front of it, that way it doesn't mess up your signs later, is 10 equal to 34. We do not distribute to 34. It is on the opposite side of the equation, so it does not have anything going on yet. Okay. And now we have a 2-step. So I'm just going to bring that down to do step 2, which is simplify our two-step equation by getting rid of the 10 first. So I would subtract 10 on both sides. So 8x plus 0 equals 24, which is just 8x equals to 24. And then I'm going to bring that down here for step 3, and that is to get x by itself. So we would do the inverse of multiplication, which is division, and I get x equals to 3. Okay. So just like before, I'd like you to pause, try the 2 problems below, and then come back when you're ready. All right, so I'm going to start by distributing the 4. So 4 times 5 is 20, and 4 times a minus or negative 3 is negative 12. I need to get this term by itself, so I'm going to get rid of the 12 first. So I'm left with 20x plus 0 equals 40, which is just 20x equal to 40. Divide by 20 on both sides to find that x is equal to 2. Okay. All right, now with this next one, I put this one on here on purpose because this actually has a few things going on. This combines the distributive property with combining like terms. And this is where I see the most mistakes with problems like this. So when you encounter a problem like this, most people say do 6 minus 2 first. But if you go back to 6th grade, when you talked about PEMDAS, we always start with our parentheses and deal with that first. So we're going to take minus 2 or negative 2, that's the sign in front, and we're going to distribute that inside the parentheses only. So that 6 and negative 20 are unaffected. They are not part of that parentheses. So I'm just going to bring down the 6 so I don't forget about it. So negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, and that equals negative 20. Okay. So once again, we start with the distributive property. We need to get rid of those parentheses, but we don't use it with 6 or negative 20 because they're not inside the parentheses. So I bring the 6, negative 20 down. There we go. All right, so now I see I have some like terms I can combine. I can combine 6 and negative 8. They're both constants. I'm going to start by bringing down the negative 6x. I always like to have that variable term first. 6 minus 8 is negative 2. And then I'm just going to bring down that negative 20. Okay. So now we're down to a 2-step. So box my variable term, including the sign with it. Get rid of that constant first, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So this is negative 6x plus 0. Now be careful with your integer rules. I have negative 20 plus 2. So that's going to give me negative 18. So I'm left with negative 6x equals to negative 18. I need to divide by negative 6. Remember, that's a negative sign. It's not subtraction in this case because 6 is being multiplied by x. So I need to divide by negative 6 on both sides. So the negatives become positive. 6's cancel out, leaving me with x. And then negative 18 divided by negative 6 is 3. Once again, you need to pay attention and be very careful with those integer rules and definitely review those if you still get a little tripped up by them, okay? So if you have any questions, please reach out. Check out Canvas to see what you have for practice options, and I will chat with you soon.